Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Sam117 and I'm doing a new video. Also, Happy New Year to everyone. I know it's a bit late, but still. Boy, this is gonna be a bit of a doozy to do because I don't know if it's gonna be a good idea or not, but I wanted to talk about my idea for an action cartoon series, what kind of plans I have for the series or something. Unfortunately, because of my poor drawing skills, I can't really, do like an interesting drawing stuff. So yeah, I apologize for that because even though I'm still practicing, my drawing skills are still terrible, really badly. I might need to go to art school or something to actually learn how to do art better, but I don't know if that's gonna work out or not. But this is one of those videos it's kind of like a vlog, and I wanted to, bring out the idea I have for the action cartoon series I have. So yeah, this is gonna be like a slide video or something, and I might not do a full face cam on this one. So hold on to your butts, so you can tell about my story I have with the show. Enjoy the video. So the story for Dragon Warrior, basically, I really like the name Dragon Warrior because of it's not because of the influence of Kung Fu Panda, but because I really love dragons. They're really cool mystical creatures, and I feel like I wanted to make a show that is basically a show that has like a warrior type of character that protects his own city from evil. And also, when he goes on fighting off evil, he also tries to figure out who he is, and also there are times his own past is haunting him. So basically, the show Dragon Warrior is actually taking place in my own city where I was actually born and lived in, called City Riga, because the reason for that is because I wanted to have a unique city to have like a vigilante superhero type of deal. Basically, it's a city where there's barely anything going on. Things are boring there, and ever since the main character discovers the magic, and now he has magical powers to protect the city, and also other people have magical abilities as well, then things get really messy. But at the same time, people in the city don't mind it too much in some way, because people just don't care about real heroes or something like that. Basically it is like this. The main character is kind of living in a dysfunctional family, and tries to one day he decides to walk around in the forest not too far from his home, but then he discovers a temple where there's a hidden magical sword lying there, and the character picks up the sword, but at the start nothing happens. And for the first episode I want to do a visual kind of storytelling kind of deal, with little any dialogue. Basically, at the start of the first episode, the character narrates about City Riga, about how boring it is, there's not much going on, and then he also narrates about himself and his life, how his life is, and it's not looking pretty good. So the character decides to take a break from his dysfunctional family and tries to take a breather, walk around in the forest because he enjoys nature. But then he discovers ancient temple that is like way older than even the pyramids, I believe, and because of that, it is like a temple that was never discovered by anyone besides the main character. So he finds this magical kind of sword, and when he picks it up, nothing happens. At the start I'm like trying to, but instead of pick him up, like he isn't one of those characters that is like, even though he's in the show, he's 15 years old, the main character, but he isn't like one of those rebellious teenagers like Danny Phantom or Randy Cunningham from Nine Gag Ranger, who just like, yeah, it's cool to find something magical or powers and I'm gonna use it for my own reasons. No, it's not like that. When he first time sees the sword and the temple, he's like really being cautious and try to, and everything he learned from movies. Basically, he knows that if he picks up the sword, if he will pick up the sword, then there's gonna be a trap or something that will eventually kill him off or something. At the start time, like he picks up a rock and throws it at the sword, nothing happens, and then he slowly approaches the sword, and because of him not being very, agile or very sporty, very strong character, kind of similar with many characters like Jake Long or Danny Phantom or anything like that. He's like hugging the sword and braces for impact, but when he opens it, nothing happens, nothing at all. And I wanted to do something in the show that doesn't feel very cliche. I tried to come up with some original ideas with the show, because even though it's a vigilante kind of superhero type of show, it is kind of like a different kind of story, more serious and a little bit darker than many other action cartoon series. Kind of similar, like it's like a mixture between kind of type of show like with Danny Phantom, but have the seriousness and the character development similar to Batman Beyond, kind of like that. Except for the character doesn't have a mentor figure, any best friends or anything like that. He's basically on his own, kind of like Spider-Man in a sense. I was highly inspired by Spider-Man, so I wanted to create a superhero show that is kind of like an inspiration from all the other more action cartoons I watched throughout the years. So basically, pick up the sword for his own and exits the temple, but without him knowing there are like these kind of like dragon-like knight statues, and when he leaves with the sword, then the statue's eyes glows, and the episode kind of like ends on a cliffhanger. And then later on in the second episode, the main character discovers his powers, but unfortunately he doesn't fully know how to control them. So he goes into the forest again, finds like an abandoned gym or something, and he tries to figure out how his powers work. He tries to meditate, he tries to tries to figure out how his powers work, like stuff like that. He also does vigilante stuff, but instead of him having the iconic suit that I have in mind, like with the whole bandages around his arms and neck and everywhere basically, but he wears a hoodie and kind of like a gangster mask or something like that, and he wears also some biker gloves, I believe, and he goes on around the city and patrol, doing his superheroing. But then I don't want to actually really much spoil about the show, but there's a special scene, kind of like a cool, like also a really scary scene I had in mind, where how the main character gets his iconic suit that I have in mind for the show, and when he gets the iconic suit, he is basically a vigilante. When people look at the character, you might think he looks like a villain, more or less, and I think that was my general idea, because I wanted to give something, like I said, I wanted to create something original, something creative with the whole concept of vigilante superheroism and stuff like that. And the villains part is kind of really, I don't know if it's interesting, I don't know if you guys would like the idea or not, but the main characters, super villains, are basically his old classmates from middle school. The main character actually finished middle school, and now he's 15 years old, and later on he's gonna attend high school, but because of that, he doesn't have like really much motivation. He doesn't know what he is. He's dealing with an identity crisis. He, unlike most like shonen anime characters who have like this big goals or something, like for example Deku wants to be the greatest hero, Spider-Man wants to be a great scientist, Naruto wants to become the Hokage, basically the president of the entire village. The main character for my story, and even then he kind of has like an ideal realistic goal. He wants to become an astronaut, but with the main character I have, he doesn't know what he wants to be. He doesn't know what he wants to be. There's a story like there's the story with the character that basically his whole family, not whole his family, but his family he's holding him back from doing something he loves. Letting him becoming something he wants the most, but because of his parents pressuring him, like becoming something more than he is, then he just is being lost. When he does the vigilante stuff, he sometimes even questions if that's what he's meant to be, or is there something more to him than meets the eye. Kind of, you know what that saying goes with the whole Transformers thing. And the character, by the way, he's fighting off the former bullies from not elementary school, but middle school. He's like taking shit seriously. Like there's one villain I want to be. I have like a punk ass like electric type of villain. There's actually two electric type of villains, but one of them is more, menacing, kind of more serious. I wanted to give each different villain like their own goal. One is the Electric Devil. He basically has like a alien parasite, merged with his body, and he grew spikes, claws, and stuff like that. And the oh god, sorry. Seriously need a new mic. But with the whole electric type villains, one of the electric type villains absorbs electricity from electronic devices or electrical wires and becomes stronger, while the other electric villain, Electric Knight, absorbs electricity from the sky, from nature itself. So he doesn't absorb it from other stuff like technology and other stuff like that. It's kind of like nature versus science kind of type of deal. And with the Electric Devil, his goal is basically wants to be like this kind of rival character. He wants to do evil things, but he's basically he's having way too much fun, like using his powers for the wrong reasons, trying to steal money, and also eventually trying to prove everyone that he's the best superpowered being in the city, while the main character, Dragon Warrior, tries to fight him off any way he can without getting himself killed. And with the whole main character's superpowers, with the Dragon Warrior's superpowers, I wanted to give the main character a more like a serious situation with the powers. One of the biggest pet peeves I have with powers, especially with the main characters having superpowers, is that they can control powers. Sometimes they can shorten out or something like that, but not to a point they can't use their powers without any kind of consequences. But with the main character I have, or the Dragon Warrior, his powers are like this. He basically, when he uses his powers for way too long, his blood comes out from his nose like a nosebleed or something, like a small one. And his vision gets blurry. His heart is increasing really faster because his body was never built for fighting, and because of his powers being generated from a really powerful dragon, basically a really powerful gigantic dragon. He has a harder time to control his powers because the dragon is full of rage and aggression, kind of similar to Naruto from with his nine-tailed fox Kyuubi. But unfortunately with the Kyuubi arc, the main character still like uses minimal power. There is a sequence in one of the episodes I have when the character actually loses control with his powers, gets angry, pissed off, but then he also smiles and wants to kill off one of the villains. But when the character tries to when the Dragon Warrior holds off his attack, he teleports away, and he's actually scared of his power, that he almost did something that he never wanted to do or never would do, and it's killing off people. Another villain I have, like this big bad villain, Shadow Master. Basically, the Shadow Master was kind of sealed off in like a giant sphere or something. I don't know. I wanted to create something similar. One of the reasons I liked Superman Doomsday movie is the fact that the reveal and also the fight between Superman and Doomsday. Doomsday was really terrifying. He felt like a real threat, and I wanted to do something similar with the Shadow Master's first appearance. Basically, there are a bunch of workers, two of them basically, doing a construction, minding their own business. Unfortunately, one of the construction workers finds a seal where the Shadow Master is sealed off, and one of them, you know, being a construction worker doing his job, hits the seal a bunch of times with a pickaxe, and instead of, you know, the seal being like bursted out, there's like black mist like emanating all over the place and kills off the workers. Basically, you know, basically they're inhaling all that mist in, and they just die from that toxic mist or something. And then when that mist is just coming up like in the shadow form, a figure appears basically, and then proper eyes open up from the head, and you and the villain is like, so this is the place I could, so I have returned, I will bring chaos to the city, and there's no one on this planet that can stop me. Basically, on this planet, on the city, whatever you want. I haven't I haven't thought much about it, but there's a lot of moments where the main character basically fights off his bully type of supervillains, and he tries to turn them back to normal, kind of similar with Generator Rex, but he always needs to, you know, focus a lot of his spiritual energy. Basically, his powers work through his emotions, and his powers are more spiritual rather than physical. Basically, kind of similar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, because power generates from people's emotions and how much they concentrate to use their powers properly, like kind of use meditating or something like that to make the powers work better. Kind of similar with Raven from the original Teen Titans. In the whole Shadow Master thing, there's also the fact that the Shadow Master turns innocent people to those people who don't have you know, magical powers or something like that, aren't turned into supervillains. They're being turned by the Shadow Master, like the claw is like piercing through their skin, and the innocent civilians painfully turn into like these demonized creatures. Each creature has like different design, and I don't know. Like I said, my art skills are a bit crap, so I can't really show. I did draw the demonized monster designs, kind of like like sketchbook or something, but it doesn't turn out all right. Basically, the demonized people idea came from one of the episodes of Ben 10, where people turn into these kind of freakish, scary-looking monsters, basically, or demons or something like that. When Ghost Freak returned in one of the episodes, I think it was on season 3, and there that idea came from, and I wanted to create something kind of similar design with the demonized people, but they have them unique, have them each of demonized people have unique abilities or something like that, kind of like may give the main character more of a challenge of dealing with the evil that he's dealing with, especially with the Shadow Master, because Shadow Master is one of those villains that you don't screw around with. Like basically one of the finale episodes, he shows up and the character, even though his mask doesn't reveal his face or something like that, his eyes just change to like wide eyes, kind of like with Spider-Man, and he's like, and there's no dialogue, he doesn't say anything, and you can tell from his expression that he's like, well, shit, I did not expect to fight something like this. And there's also another plot point probably in season 3, I believe, where one of the villains, female villains, also maybe not as big as a threat as Shadow Master, but it's kind of like on the second level, on the same. Basically, she wants to rule the world with technology. Basically, she wants to build a world where technology only provides people in any ways, but the main character feels like people need to balance out their lifestyle with not just technology, but also with their own unique skills or their own livelihoods or something like that. Because if people rely too much on technology, then they become lazy and forgettable about the old times, because you can't always rely on technology, because technology sometimes, a lot of the times, have errors, faulty systems and whatnot, and because of that, and because of Dragon Warrior and the main female character, I haven't thought of a name for that female character, but she's basically kind of like a Lex Luthor type of character, basically, kind of similar, and because of them having different ideals, she sends out her army with this all technological, super advanced soldier armored guys, women, or whatever, and then they try to take him out or capture him. So the Dragon Warrior doesn't stop her from reaching her goal to getting people suckered in by just free technology or stuff like that, because so people could forget about the past and just move on with the future. But sometimes the main character feels like you need to balance out both the past and the future, so things don't go absolutely disastrous if the time comes. Because if you rely, like I said, if you rely too much on technology, things get really faulty. Oh boy. I don't know. I might write the story for the show, but I will do my best. But I don't know how. I don't know if the show idea will come into fruition. I don't know if people might think this is a good idea, because I've always imagined, because I feel like kids deserve a much darker stories than just much deeper or darker stories than just cutesy lol type of shows. And because of it, I feel like I wanted to make an action cartoon series that basically doesn't treat its general audience like idiots, and I wanted to make it like a PG-13 type of show that isn't just meant for kids, but also anyone in any age, even for teenagers. It is also available for teenagers and also adults. But I really hate the fact that people always look at animation as just kids stuff, and that is far from the truth. And I feel like we need more action cartoons that are serious, that doesn't always rely on jokes all the time. Of course, I'm not saying all action cartoons need to be serious. They can have humor into them, but my type of show doesn't have that kind of humor. And the prequel show idea is kind of like it's still in kind of like a developing stage, but it's more like a character-driven, emotional type of story that is basically it basically is an event that takes place before the Dragon Warrior series starts off. But I wanted to start off with the Dragon Warrior series to show off what the general idea I have with the cartoon series, with the whole action cartoon series, so I could make people excited for a show. I don't know. What do you guys think of my idea? It's not much in terms of explanation, but I try my best, because if I had a better microphone that doesn't always block my ears, or doesn't block me from breathing, so I could do this video a lot easier. But currently, I'm still trying my best to save up money for a new microphone. I want to buy the Blue Yeti microphone that a lot of YouTubers use, and I think it will be a good decision on my part to get a Blue Yeti microphone, a good quality microphone in general, so I could do YouTube videos like this a lot better. So yeah, but what do you guys think of my action cartoon show idea? What do you like it? Do you don't like it? Let me know in the comments, and like this video if you actually kind of enjoyed this video. And share this all with the others. Maybe I might find people that could help me out to make my dream of making an action cartoon series a reality. I don't want people stealing ideas of that show, or give themselves credit instead of giving me credit of me coming up with the idea, because the world is kind of like a dark, cruel place, but I try to think positively as much as I can. But yeah. So yeah, still, what do you guys think? And if you enjoyed my explanation for the action cartoon series, let me know in the comments, and also like the video to help me out in any way you can. So yeah, this is Salmon 7 signing off.